right, good evening. Welcome to the Gulf Coast Blitz. It's our third edition of this high school football show, which will take you around Citrus County all the way down to Collier, Naples, and Fort Myers. We will look around the Gulf Coast with the latest news and talk about games and highlights as usual. We'll have an interview coming up in just a few moments. Marty Pallman, Joshua Wilson of FloridaHSFootball.com. Later in the show, we'll have Pick Six. We'll pick 6 games as we do every week here on the Gulf Coast Blitz. But Josh, another busy week for high school football on the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, absolutely.
It starts, we'll start with, yes, that. Gotta hit that music. It's the Gulf Coast Blitz Lines, we like to call them, the headlines from around the Gulf Coast. And it starts down in Naples, where the defending state champ First Baptist of Naples knocks off Golden Gate, who had just beaten Naples a few weeks earlier. So it continues to be a wacky year down in Collier County.
It's around the wacky football. It seems like every week, wacky football. I mean, thankfully, the one thing in terms of wacky football that has not been as wacky as it was the last few years, the Hurricanes haven't been as bunch of bad problems. So
Don't say that out loud.
Well, considering, but remember this time last year, Southwest Florida was not playing football. So
no, they got hit by a terrible hurricane a year ago. It was in October, in fact. It was right around this.
It was week 6. It was week 6. It was right at the start of district week for a lot of teams, and that But here we are. These games are happening now.
Yeah, and this year we really only have to worry about the Big Bend so far from Hurricane Adelia. But yeah,
and most of those teams, and most of all the teams have actually returned to action. Even Taylor County has figured out a way to play despite their state. Right. So, but
that'll be on our North Florida Blitz coming up, which will be at 9:45. But yeah, you're right. They weren't playing a year ago, and now hopefully that will continue. They still another month to go in the season, and the numbers coming out today and for the postseason showed Naples moving past Golden Gate back into the top of their region.
I thought that I was a little head scratcher on that one, given the fact that Naples had beaten Naples had lost to Golden Gate, yeah. but Golden Gate losing just by a few points here to First Baptist. After that, it's very, very interesting. But when we look at the number, if you got the number pulled up here, Marty, on the thing, we talked about this during the playoff breakdown show. I think it's going to be there's going to be a back and forth battle between Naples and Golden Gate for that 1-2 spot. Maybe Dunbar in the mix to maybe fight for that top 2 spot, but it is really, really interesting how football in Southwest Florida is taking shape this year.
Yeah, it is. And another team too, we were talking about Fort Myers won its 700th game a week ago. Now it wins.
They're 701 now.
Yeah, Naples, as you said, though, in that region 4, which is in class 3S, Naples moves to first, 9.579. Golden Gate's at 9.522. And Dunbar in third, 9.082. So those three are all pretty much within striking distance of each other. Then you got South Fort Myers and Mariner all down there as well. Barron Collier actually dropped out this week. They were third last week, all the way down to 9th after you say they got shut out by Naples, right? Yeah, Naples. Yeah. So tough week for them, Barron Collier. But yeah, it is getting interesting down there as well. As you heard, Fort Myers wins its 700th game this week. Wins number 701. That's another team in the postseason right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is a big thing right there. How about Venice, a team that started off the year slow, and they started off slow against Sarasota Riverview, but that was people were like there was a big debate about surrounding the whole thing and everything with them in terms of the numbers. Last week it was Sarasota Riverview was ahead of Venice. Venice takes care of business, 35-14. Now they jumped them in the rankings.
Yeah, Venice is starting to play well. I mean, they took a couple losses early in the year, but again, they lost to some good teams there. But now getting back on track, beating Sarasota Riverview has them back near the top of their region. But yeah, Sarasota Riverview still in good shape to make the playoffs as well. But yeah, Venice is starting to move up now, the number 2 spot in their region.
Yeah, and then you think, and then here I want to pull this up, Marty, and this is the one we were talking about right before we started. About Port Charlotte, going into Port Charlotte down there, and the thing, Port Charlotte, it's a team that people have been talking about, has some good wins, but they don't have the signature win that I think that everybody wants to look for, and that's the thing. They're 4-2 here on the season. I think they're going to win their district because they did beat Brayton Riverhead this past week pretty handily, 49-16, but the thing is that, they played Bishop Road week 1, lost 56-21, played Manatee 31-20, lost them 31-24. My question is, can Port Charlotte find a signature win? And I think the 2 games that they could have gotten a signature win this year, the ship has come and sailed on them. And because the remaining schedule that's left for them is Riverdale, not really a good solid team. Southeast, who is just right in the very bottom of the cellar in 3S Region 4. And then, Parish Community, probably the one team that the team that they're going to contend for the district championship with, who's also in the playoff rankings. And then there's Island Coast. I just wonder, for Port Charlotte, what is it going to take for the, is it, I could see them going 8-2, winning out the district championship, but can they go far in the playoffs? And I'm just not sure about that, especially if you've not got a signature win. I'd like to see a signature win. If people are gonna throw them into the top 10 rankings in Class 3S.
And not only that, but I mean, in that region with Naples and Golden Gate and Dunbar, how are they going to survive that if they don't have a quality win? I mean, even winning the district is one thing, but you're right. What happens when they get to the playoffs? Speaking of unbeaten, Manatee, you just mentioned them. Still, they're 6-0 now. They continue to roll under Jaquez Green down there, and it looks like Manatee may be a team that has a chance to play for a state title or make a run this year. No, absolutely. And of course, then you look at a couple of things going over into the Polk County area about how about Hardy beating Clewiston 50-47? That was a big win. I'm sure Emery Smith is watching here on the show here. This is his neck of the woods here as well. So we'll see what everything there, and then we're starting to get our guest Dylan and Hasani is sitting there in the house in the room waiting, and then we get these guys on here in a few minutes to talk Polk County and 863 football. All kinds of guests. Yes. We're doing the special three box with these guys and getting them on and all that. But going up along US 27, Lake Wales is still undefeated on the season. I mean, you got them, and Lakeland 4-2 on the year, but George Jenkins, you know what? I'm sorry, Sade. I'm sorry. 9-7. George Jenkins over Kathleen to finish up the game, and that's hard. Those are one of those games that's hard there. That you don't want to see the score like that. But I tell you, it's it really in this situation. I'll tell you. Lakeland, I just wonder about Lakeland and some things, but there's a big matchup, and we'll talk about it with Landlin and with Dylan, and of course Hasani is the big game this week that we'll have on our pick 6, and that is Bartow at Lakeland. Bartow undefeated, Lakeland 4-2. Yeah, Bartow's having a really good year, but you're right. That's going to be their biggest test to this point, playing there at Bryant Stadium. But and then of course, how about this one going over to Pinellas County real quick? Boca Ciega upset Lakewood 14-7. Boca Ciega moves into the 8th spot. They replaced Lakewood this week. Yeah, you're right. Boca Ciega, that came out of nowhere. It very much did so. And if anybody can tell me what's going on with Tampa Catholic, I really like to know. At one point lost to Robinson, and all the hype, all the talk that was sitting there around Tampa Catholic in preseason. Well, I mean, it's starting to kind of go out the door here. Emery Smith answers you with and then Emery Smith is here. Yes, he's listening. Yes, I am. He's listening. They're the Hardy Wildcats there. So most likely that their destiny, they're in the control of their own destiny here at this point after being close to. That's right, big win for them, and that they're in the 8th spot, but they can move up and win the district title. But. So we will it's time for a water break. Let's go ahead and do that, or we'll take a 60-second break. We'll come back, and then we'll have our guests on. Josh will I'll do the introductions. The introductions when we return. You are watching the Gulf Coast Blitz tonight here on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Marty Pallman, Joshua Wilson of FloridaHSFootball.com, back in 60 seconds.
All right, welcome back here on the Gulf Coast Blitz here that covers everything from the North Suncoast, Polk County, the beaches, and all the way down to Naples here. Josh Wilson here along with Marty Pallman here, and we got our guests coming on here, and we got Hasani Harper, Landlin May from the Polkway, and of course Dylan Oliver. We'll get those guys here, and we'll get Dylan here whenever he pops back in. We'll bring him on as well, but good evening to you guys, Landlin, and of course Hasani. We got both of them on here, and Hasani, you have been in Polk County for the majority of your life, and and of course I think the same goes with Landlin as well. But I'll start with you, Hasani. I've known you for a long time, and you're always out there on the beat around there in Polk County, keeping a tab on these teams, and kind of so far, they're thinking, oh, we got Dylan here, so we're thinking, oh, we're doing the third. We got the multitude of boxes here tonight. So, but Hasani, let me start with you first in this. What has it been like so far here through the first 6 weeks in Polk County? Because there's some surprises, and there's some the traditional suspects are doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I think for the most part, at least from my perspective, I can't speak for the Dylan and Landlin, but from my perspective, teams like Lakeland and Lake Wells are kind of doing what I expected them to do coming into this season, and that's being the top dogs in the county. I think one of the biggest surprises for me has been Bartow High School coming off the season that they had last year, bringing in a new leader at the head coach position, and Tyler Eden. It's kind of rejuvenated that program, and they're off to an undefeated start with a big game coming up this Thursday night against Lakeland High School. So looking forward to that one.
And that's where it's going to lead to Landlin and Dylan, because I know they have followed a lot on this one with especially with Bartow. I've seen the coverage, and Landlin, let me go to you first on this one. Bartow, as Hasani mentioned, I think they're the biggest surprise this year in Polk County, 6-0 coming to a big game of Lakeland, and I think it was maybe you, Landlin, that said it on Twitter. Someone's going to take Bartow here over Lakeland. That's pretty gutsy right there.
Yeah, it is pretty gutsy. But like you said, they've been the biggest surprise. I've seen Bartow with this kind of momentum before in 2020. They did go undefeated that season. I don't believe they played Lakeland. But it was the COVID year, and all the chips were on the table, and Bartow had nothing to lose. Right now, I see this group the same way. They don't have anything to lose. All they have to right now is to win. So I think it's going to be a tough game. They are challenged offensively, but I'm very excited, and I think if Lakeland takes this game lightly, Bartow can sneak one in on them.
Yeah. When's the last time Bartow beat Lakeland? They don't play every year, do they? I mean, have they
they
Lakeland
usually play every year. The last time was
year?
2015.
Oh, wow. So it's been a little while. Well, one team that I was going to ask you about is kind of quietly going along this year, Lake Wales. I mean, they won the state title last year. They were dominant, but they had a close championship game. But, we haven't heard a whole lot about them. They just kind of seem to be getting their business done, and see if they can try to repeat as state champs this year.
Who wants to take that one? Dylan? Someone take that one.
Anybody.
Yeah, I saw Lake Wales once this year so far against a tough opponent, Sebring. Man, it's just like that. It's the name after House of Pain. They're all together as a team, man. They grow up together. That energy from last year of half of these guys not really being on the field, now they have that opportunity to be on the field and really show that, hey, last year, yeah, we won, but this year, hey, this is same team, same type of energy, and teams are going to be scared when they come to playoffs. So that energy is built very well over there. Coaching staff is well put. But yeah, that team, they're going to push for another state championship this year. I believe that. So yeah, a lot of good going that way.
That absolutely. I think that they're going to be in that mix. They're going to be in that hunt for the state championship, and even despite if there's a mainland sitting there, lurking around that who's actually looks like they're much improved compared to the last year's squad.
Yeah.
Looking at the next in transitioning in some of this, in terms of the teams that have got. is, how about the one that I seem to be like, I'm scratching my head, how's George Jenkins still undefeated? But I'm sitting there scratching my head. I mean, how is that even possible? I mean, because last week they were sitting at number 1 in the power rankings from the FHA. They're still in the mix, and it's just like I'm kind of confused there. Dylan's shaking his head over there, so Dylan must know something. Dylan, let us tell us what's going on over there with George Jenkins.
I'm just gonna put it straight up. Have they really played anybody is a question. I think once they start getting into the district games, they'll be pushed a little bit. But I mean, everything's going well now. They got a young team. I haven't yet seen them this year, but I'm looking forward to the Lakeland DJ game in a couple weeks.
There you go. That'll answer a lot of questions there.
Right.
And of course, yeah, I mean, and and one team, I know it's not in Polk County, but I know they play a lot of Polk County teams, and we haven't, it seems like they win a game here, but then the next week it's like you're not sure what it's going. It's Sebring, and I'm kind of wondering what's going on down there with the Blue Streaks. It's like, I mean, I know they played like Clearwater Central Catholic a couple of weeks ago, but I'm still trying to figure out, the Blue Streaks are sitting there at 8th, they're in the last spot right there in the power rankings. And it's like, is there a chance with a Fort Pierce Westwood team that they're going to have to play here pretty soon, that they're surging? Does Sebring miss the playoffs? So, and considering that, they're in the mix of, usually the H6-3 foes of making playoffs year in, year out.
I think they'll still be in the mix because they have a good defense. And, they've had a good defense for the last few seasons. Mm-hmm. Credit to guys like linebacker Josiah Taylor, who's been the face of that defense for the past few years now. That defense keeps them in games. They're doing just enough on offense to sustain drives, to get points. They've got a good backfield, 2 great running backs, Fred Hankerson and mine went blank. But a great backfield. The issue right now is at the quarterback spot. They've got to get a little bit more consistent there. But for the most part, they're doing a good enough job on the offense to keep themselves in games. And that defense is what they really rely on down there. So I wouldn't count them out yet.
No, absolutely, and everything and along the way and all that. But we won't count them out just yet along the thing. But there's a couple other teams that we haven't mentioned yet in the process of everything. And I think there's a couple of ones I'll mention. Marty will mention another one here that that seems to be are doing all right, are playing pretty well. Fort Meade, Frostproof in the south end of the county, and eventually those two are going to play and match up because the long time rivals, not very far apart there. But I mean, especially like with Fort Meade and Frostproof, I mean, some people are like, we saw Frostproof last year go to the regional finals, but is the role reversed this year, or is it kind of still we're still kind of the jury's out there until those two play?
You want to take this one, Landlin?
Yeah, I'll definitely say Fort Meade looks very, very good this year as well as Frostproof. I do think right now Fort Meade is a little bit better than Frostproof. Of course, we could, when that game comes, it'll definitely be the game of the week. Like you said, long-time rivalry. It's must-see football, and it has, like state implications. It has state playoff implications. So that's a big game, even locally and even for the state. But right now, I do think Fort Meade is playing better football with their quarterback and wide receiver duo in Carson Montesoka and Josh Porter, 3-star USF commit. He's playing out of his mind. Carson is the best quarterback in Polk County right now. So him leading that squad, I think the roles are a little bit reversed right now. We'll see Fort Meade in the regional final, possibly the state championship. That's the kind of football they're playing to this point.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. What about Lakeland Christian? I want to ask. I'm looking at the numbers. They got to be one of the favorites again to win state. I know they've had some good teams through the years, and Victory Christian there as well is kind of in the same region. Have you had a chance to see Lakeland Christian at all this year?
No, I haven't gotten a chance to.
Hasani,
but I'll
just seen them.
Yeah, I was at their game against who did they just play? Evangelical Christian.
Fort Myers.
Yeah, Fort Myers, yes.
Yeah, they got on them pretty good. They got a nice little running back combo down there. They're a young team. It's probably one of the youngest teams that I've seen Coach Danny Williams have in a long time. But I mean, they're still a very well coached football program, and so I expect them to be in the hunt as well. They're a proud program, so I don't see them just giving it up without a fight.
No, absolutely. And Lake Gibson, that's another team. They came out a little hot, but kind of with the scheduling, I mean, Lee County and Lakeland, almost back to back for them. That was kind of like, but do you think this Lake Gibson team is actually much more improved than compared to last year's squad?
In year 2 for Coach Pringle, I do think this is a better team. He did have a bunch of guys return. A kid that's playing the best football in Polk County, in my opinion, Jalen Evans, defensive tackle at Lake Gibson right now. Cordell Lewis, wide receiver. He's been playing out of his mind, senior wide receiver. These guys all were on the team last year and came back, for this season. And I do think they are improved as well. And their schedule is built differently. Last year, the schedule was loaded in the front with tough games. And this year, it's kind of on the back end. Like you said, Lee County to Lakeland to this week, Lake Wells. So they play Lee County and then 2 state champions, I'm sorry.
Oh wow, that's definitely quite the schedule there, guys, and for all these teams, and of course we know that Polk County football has always been dominant, still continues to be dominant. Of course, we saw that last year in the state championship games. We'll see if that happens again there this year, but nonetheless, there'll be many teams we'll be talking about when it comes to playoff time, because I expect a lot of these teams that are sitting in the playoff power rankings are going to be the ones that we're going to be talking about come November. When we look at the teams that are going to go through to the road to Tallahassee as it will be this year. And guys, let me ask you the thing that we can think. Tell where everybody they can find you at on social media, so that way they can give y'all a follow. Y'all are out there on the fields covering these games, covering these athletes, and giving them the spotlight that a lot of people have seemed to abandon these days.
Yeah, so you can find me, Hasani H2_recruiting on Twitter. And Instagram. I'm usually at a game. Try to be at a game every week, so I usually pick a game of the week that I'll go to check out as a part of my hashtag H2 Fall Tour. So
there you go. I love your updates. I love your updates.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter, Polk_way, and then Instagram, Polkway863. You'll see a lot of updates on Friday night games, live coverage. Great feed that we got. We go back and forth with fans a little bit, so it's a good show if you follow us. So check us out.
There you go, guys. And of course, it's always great to have Polk County in the house, because a lot of legends have been built there, and and I think let me ask you this real quick. Is it really different without Bill Castle running around on the sidelines now? Is it really that different now?
Nah, he still is. He still is.
Oh man, you can't keep the goat of all goats. No, you cannot keep him off the sidelines now there, even if he's not coaching, calling the plays anymore. So
yeah, he's out there.
Yeah, he's at
awesome.
Practice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear that and see that. Well, all right, to Hasani, Dylan, Landlin, I appreciate y'all joining us here on the Gulf Coast Blitz, covering everything from, of course, the Lake Polk County and the Highlands area all the way up to along the Gulf Coast. So appreciate y'all here joining us here this evening.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you guys indeed, and appreciate everybody that is joining us here. And of course, Marty, we're gonna roll back into things here as well.
Yep, got to move on to the rankings. I don't have a lot of time left, so let's take a look at the
rankings, and of course, the big and teams that we're talking about in the region here is Lakeland sitting there Lakeland still in that top 10. 2 losses, but if we think about their 2 losses on the season to a very strong and potent Miami Norland team, yep. And then here the other one that we're talking about, hey, to St. Joseph's Prep out of Pennsylvania. So I mean. And when we start to look at it, it really comes down. They're 2 really good losses. I mean, I know a loss is not really. Some people's like, oh, a loss is not good. Well, those are good losses. Those are quality losses in a way.
Right, they are. So Lakeland really playing well now, but they're going to get a test, as you said, from Bartow. Do you have Bartow in the ranking?
I don't have Bartow in the top 25 yet, but they beat Lakeland, who is still in the rankings. Then we'll talk about that. But Lakewell sitting there at number 17, and then of course, Clearwater Central Catholic. Well, that's another team in the region. I'm putting Bishop Rowe into the top 25 this week. Bishop Rowe just really rolling. Clearwater Central Catholic 6-0 after beating Carrollwood Day. So there's a lot of teams, solid teams there.
The Clearwater Central Catholic is really playing well, and as you said, Carrollwood Day, they're 1-2 in their region, so big win for Clearwater Central Catholic last week, so that puts them at the top there as well. Yeah, Lake Wales, you got 17th, and I think Lake Wales, as you just heard,
and Armwood is at 11, by the way.
Yeah, Armwood's moved up too. All right, you know what that music means. Time for the pick six for Gulf Coast this week.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm going to be kind of flying here on making sure bringing the thing here. But our first game up this week here, as we get ready to talk about it, this is the one we were all talking about, with Hasani, Landlin, and Dylan, and this is the big one, Marty. Go ahead and tell people this one. The
one at Lakeland.
Oh man, yeah. I cannot tell you that this is going to be a huge one right here. This is Bartow 6-0. Yeah. Lakeland 4-2, but this is at Bryant Stadium. If this was at Bartow, I'd probably take Bartow on a gamble here. But as I said, Landlin said he's taking Bartow to beat him at Bryant Stadium.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Unless I like Bartow, they're playing well. I've got to go with the Dreadnoughts. I don't think I'm going to go against Lakeland at home. They're picking it up now. They've been playing a lot better. I would take Lakeland to win that game at home.
And the thing, I'm going to take Lakeland here as well. And the big reason why I take Lakeland, I think that score would have been a lot different, for them against Lake Gibson last week. But, the problem was that Mother Nature had other plans to not let them finish the game early, fully and complete. So There's that one right there. I can tell you that right now.
This is a doozy. Florida High at Carrollwood Day. It's going to be a heck of a game. Florida High continues their tour of Florida. Ocala last week. This week it's
they've been
Tampa.
down there. Lecanto, they've been down everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing with Florida High is that they just go everywhere. And it seems like.
So who do you like?
In this one, Carrollwood Day was lost by 1 to Clearwater Central Catholic this past week. Carrollwood Day is a very, very strong team. You know what? I gotta go with I gotta go with the gamble here, and I'm taking Carrollwood in this one.
Wow. Are you? Coming off a loss to Clearwater Central Catholic. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm going to go Florida High. They seem to be road warriors and continue to play really good football. Just missed out on the state title last year. I'm going to take Florida High to win this game in Tampa.
Oh man, you're going with the Seminoles there on that one. All right, so
I don't usually like going with the Seminoles, but in this case, I will.
So, all right, our next one up is a battle of 2 Catholic schools, Bishop Verot and Jesuit.
Yeah, well, and Bishop Verot, man, how good have they been this year? I mean, we've talked about them at length at times. And Jesuit, we thought Jesuit was struggling, but they've seemed to have picked it up the last few weeks.
And they did get a win over Armwood, so there's that.
So there is that. But I don't know. This is going to be a heck of a game. You mentioned the 2 Catholic schools. Bishop Verot has really been on fire this year.
I like Bishop Verot. They've got a very, very strong passing game, and that's what I think might be to make the difference against at Jesuit. And I'm gonna take Bishop Verot on the road to actually get a signature win here over a top quality program. I'm going that route.
I'm gonna go with the home team this time. I'll take Jesuit this time.
All right,
yeah.
so it's
I took Armwood to beat him, and it didn't happen. I'll take Jesuit to win this game.
All right, another one that's a big showdown. 6-0 Manatee at Venice. Pal Davis. If this was at Joe Canaan Field, I'd take Manatee, but this is at Pal Davis, and the atmosphere at Pal Davis is just unbelievable. I got to tell you, this one is
right. Our friends went down there last year. That Buchholz game always tell me that it is quite a place to go, and they're in Venice. And Venice is starting to get it together too. Tough start of the season. Played 2 really good teams, and they're Manatee's unbeaten, but I'm with you. I like Venice here at home.
Yeah, I'm going with Venice here. I mean, if Manatee gets the win, there's no stopping Manatee at this point, I think, in a lot of ways in that region. So that's the biggest challenge right there. All right, Zephyr Hills at South Sumter. Here's another one. And two quality programs here that have winning games, but this is South Sumter at Inman Sherman Field. I mean, this is going to be a tough one for Zephyr Hills, and I think I like South Sumter in this one.
South Sumter's only loss was to Hawthorne, who hasn't lost in 2 years. So, nothing bad about that. Zephyr Hills has been pretty good, a quality program, but I think South Sumter wins this game at home as well.
So, and that is the thing. And then we got one more game. We'll get to the comments real quick here afterwards, but Hillsboro at Tampa Bay Tech. I'll be honest with you. I am totally in, position to take Tampa Bay Tech in this one, but Hillsboro's pretty good. Earl Garcia Jr., head coach there, but I like Tampa Bay Tech in this one. Just because they've been very strong and they're still appear to be strong. It's right. They're gonna have to contend with Armwood for that district championship here soon.
Yeah, I'll take the Texters at home. Tampa Bay Tech. I think that they're good enough to get this win. Yeah, Hillsboro is pretty good. Tampa Bay Tech has been an excellent team at home. I take them to win this game. So
all right, we got some comments here. Things someone said. Here we got from J.C. Denton. Sebring's underrated, but this week is about Lakeland Bartow. Definitely, indeed. Emery Smith says Lakeland Christian's best player is running back Josh Bellamy. We had trouble stopping him when we played them. Ooh, I mean, that tells you right there. And JC, thank you for the interview. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching the thing. And of course, JC also mentions about Clearwater Central Catholic beat CDS without multiple starters, according to Twitter. And that sounds like you know what? That's very possible. And of course, we got Michael Parsons taking Lakeland at home, and same with JC Denton, Lakeland at home. Emery Smith says Lakeland versus Bartow should be a great game. Lakeland is the favorite, but it will be interesting to see if Bartow can beat Lakeland for the first time since 2015. I agree with you there. Michael Parsons says Carrollwood Day for the win over Florida High.
Disagree, but that's okay.
I mean, the thing, and of course, Michael Parsons and J.C. Denton with a lot of comments there. South Sumter by 3, J.C. Denton says. And, of course, Charles Bell, great to see Charles Bell pop in. I see Lakeland's getting the job done Thursday night against Bartow. I see us #1 seed coming next week in the 3rd playoff rankings. Well, that's a very, very much a potential there.
That will happen if they win this game and win out. But, all right, well, we're out of time. The music means we're done. So,
I know. We got one more show to go after this.
Thank you for watching tonight. We appreciate our guests for joining us. And we will talk to you again next Tuesday night, 9 to 9:30 for the Gulf Coast Blitz. Coming up, 9:45, the North Florida Blitz. As you're watching these shows tonight here on Facebook, Twitter, and also on YouTube. For Joshua Wilson of Florida HS Football, I'm Marty Pallman saying so long and good night.